That was probably way more cringe than I care to admit. But my name is Mossy Bop. Welcome to the Vultures 2 review. And let's get straight into it. Kanye West, Dolla, Vultures 2. The album that nobody ever thought was actually going to come out because we know how Kanye West sequels typically go. But that being said, Vultures 2 is here. Let's get straight into it. Vultures from YS, which is the duo known as Kanye West and Dolla. I am 99% sure I'm saying that wrong, but regardless, let's get straight into it. Okay, starting off, I'm obviously going to draw a lot of my comparisons from this album to the first one, Vultures 1, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Vultures 1, granted. When I was listening to it, the listening environment I was in when it first came out wasn't exactly a good environment to hear that album for the first time, with zero expectations and zero kind of zero awareness of any creative direction that these guys were trying to go in. So I didn't enjoy much of the Vultures 1. So going into this, I was expecting something a lot better focused and with better rapping, better writing, because they've obviously had more time to kind of gel and get better chemistry, and then they've obviously had feedback from the first one to see if they actually, what they can work on, what they can improve, what they can change, and all that, etc., etc., etc. So, like I said, I was expecting better focused writing, better rapping, and I was hoping Dolla kind of stayed par, because he was definitely one of the best parts of the first tape. Therefore, I was kind of going into this like, let it be what it is, because we know what Kanye West is like in big 2024. But I mean, 16 tracks with one interlude, and yeah, that was my pre-thoughts. Let's get into the track list and I'll break it down for you guys going into this. Starting off, we got Slide. And I thought the drums on this track were absolutely crazy. Dolla was really good in that song as well, and the hook was really sung. The hook was sung pretty well, and I enjoyed it for the most part. And then, as I feel like I'm going to say this a lot during this review, but then Kanye West showed up with quite a terrible verse. And yeah, I thought when I was listening to this song, it was pretty shallow in terms of the ideas or themes I was trying to show off. And as an intro, you gotta kind of tell people what the album's going to be about, and I feel like they didn't do that very well in that regard. But I still thought the track was pretty solid, and yeah, for an intro, it was, you can't really go wrong. Time moving slow, and the production in this kind of track is like a dance hall funky groove thing, but it also had a piano. It was kind of just like clashing, trying to be too many different things at once, which in some scenarios was working okay, and then the drums were a bit shit as well, which is just, it was kind of just like pinging everywhere when I'm trying to listen to this. And yeah, it was arranged in a way which made it really confusing, really hard to actually digest. If for like a casual listener, I can't see myself hearing this song, and I feel like that goes a lot for a lot of the songs on here. I don't think I'll ever listen to them again. The groove vocals on the hooks were pretty cool. I thought that was enjoyable. And Kanye, the first verse I was not a fan of, but then the second verse I thought he's playing back into his strengths here. It was better vocally and better focused writing wise, and it actually had some kind of topical thing about it. He was talking about how the entire rap game has turned on him, and he's had all these road blocks along the way in his career, and he's kind of just saying, I don't really care, because he is who he is. So yeah, I enjoyed that it was a very topical verse, even though didn't really play well into the rest of the song, but I'm glad he was focusing on something. Following that, we got Field Trip, and the transition from Time Moving Slow to Field Trip was actually really sick. It blew me away. When I was listening, I was like, oh shit, all right, we might be in for something there. You know straight away when you hear that, see ya, it's going to be a solid cut. An enjoyable Cardi verse, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna agree with me here, when he had probably the best feature out of the entire accompanying artists on this entire project. Don Toliver on the hook, that was absolutely insane. I was really, really rocking with that. And following straight after that first hook, we got the Ty Dolla $ign verse, which is really nice. Probably one of the better verses he's got in this entire album, because I like him when he sings. I'm not a big fan when he raps, but when he does rap, this was a pretty good song to like kind of catch your chips in. So I enjoyed the Ty Dolla $ign verse, is what I'm trying to say. Kodak Black, amazing verse from Kodak Black on here. I did not expect this at all. I was looking at Genius when I was listening to this. I just kind of just guess, but I didn't realize Kodak Black had that in his locker. I cannot lie. I was really rocking with that verse, and it's probably my favorite track off the entire album. Yeah, I think it's top 1, Vultures 1 and 2. Following that, we got Fried with the, what are they called? The Inter Milan backup singers. This is just doing too much. I cannot lie. They were creating a lot of space in the mix that was enjoyable for maybe 5 seconds, and then any point after that, it was the most annoying noise on the planet. The Kanye verse was like pretty bad. It went for way too long, in my opinion, and Ty Dolla $ign sounded solid on here as well, and his rapping on this was pretty impressive. He doesn't really rap like that on many tracks of his catalog, so it was a nice change of pace, in my opinion. But yeah, those group vocals are just the biggest turn off on this song. It's actually insane how much they ruin the quality of this track. Promotion with Future, which I was really excited for, because Future's had a very strong 2024, and you'd think that he would add a lot to this song, and I'm kind of ahead, but he also has a second appearance on this album. But for someone of his standards and who's been putting in such a work rate as he has this year, this was quite an embarrassing feature from both of the songs he appears on. And it was over a basic trap beat as well. They were playing right into his hand, and he kind of just didn't really hold up his end of the bargain, if that makes sense. I wasn't a big fan of his verse. And then Kanye came in, and then they cut the production and let him kind of run with it. And then they did the exact same thing on Future's verse, and then all of a sudden it's lost its genuinity. It's all of a sudden it's lost its like effectiveness, and it's completely ruined the quality and impressiveness of when it was on Kanye's part of the song versus when they did it on Future's part. Because it's kind of just like, it was cool once, and now you're overdoing it, if that makes sense. Is that I thought Future definitely could have done a better verse, and because he is a better rapper, and we know that because we've been listening to him for so many years. And I thought the outro was cool, but a little bland, and that's kind of all I've really got to say about that song. Moving on, we got Husband, and this is a bad song. It was a boring R&B cut from Kanye and Ty. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not a well-written song, because it's, well, when I say a song is well-written, I say the concept and what he was trying to go for, I was here for it. He was trying to show off that he's like what his responsibilities are in the position he's in, and he was trying to get a lot more personal with the audience, trying to explain what's going on in his mind while he was creating the music, which I'm always going to be here for. But the execution was just so bad, like it's quite unbearable, to be honest. And I'm going to move on quickly to Lifestyle, because husband is the last 2 minutes of Lifestyle anyway. Like, what's the entire point of splitting them up if you're going to repeat yourself? And I mean, seriously, yeah, Lifestyle with Lil Wayne. The Lil Wayne came into the verse with a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and he's going to do that no matter who's the main artist on the song. You can never, ever, ever, ever go wrong with a Lil Wayne verse. But in this scenario, he could have done a better verse. Like, this guy, man. Yeah, he has his standard his quality of music is a whole lot higher than what he's given on this song. I don't know if it's Kanye not getting the best out of the features, or they just don't respect him or something. Like, I mean, that sounds stupid. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the features on this album, but they're just kind of half-arsing it, which I think is just crazy. The production on this song is terrible. Like, the sample they're using does more harm than good. It's such a bad song. Oh man, I'm not gonna be able to finish this review. The production is so bad. Like, that noise in the background just constantly going is so distracting. It ruins any attempt to actually enjoy the song. And then as soon as you think, okay, how's he gonna close it out? He just plays Husband. You might as well splice the tracks together. Yeah, easily the worst song on the entire album. Maybe with the definition of all setup, no payoff. It's the entire song is trying to allude to like a dancehall track or like a Jersey. He was trying to go for a break or a beat, and it was just completely terrible. The verse was completely unfinished. It sounded more like a reference take compared to an actual take, which is when rap is kind of just like mumble into the rap, spit some random words to try and get a decent flow going, and maybe like some topical direction, in my opinion anyway. Yeah, it was quite actually terrible. The final 60 seconds was just a loop of the beat, and yeah, I'm gonna just quote myself directly here. 2 minutes 14 of setup and no payoff. Genuinely, what is this guy doing? Bum with his daughter, and I'm always here for pushing creative endeavors, but don't get her to sing Chinese, bruv, or Japanese, or whatever. It's not cool. It is cringe and embarrassing. Again, I'm going to quote myself. Another terrible cut. The album is going downhill in quality so rapidly, it's embarrassing. Can't you tell I'm having fun when I was listening to this album? River with Young Thug, another feature that I was really excited for. And he wasn't mixed properly. I don't know if it's because he's in prison, or if it's an old verse, or if it's over the fucking payphone. Pardon. What the hell is going on in this album? He could have done a whole lot if it was mixed properly. I don't know who greenlit this. I don't know what the hell was going on. Yes, another basic trap beat. Because again, they're playing to the feature strength, Young Thug in this case. It was a nice Thug verse, but it wasn't mixed properly. I just don't understand it. Kanye's verse, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't strong either, so I don't really have any qualms about it, but that's about it. And the hook was alright, and I'm not sure who's on the outro. I've got it written down here. It was Charlie Wilson, but when I went to fact check it, it doesn't sound right, so I might have been pulling that out my ass. But anyway, whoever was on the outro was amazing, and the fact that they're not credited on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming services you use is quite embarrassing, to be honest. Moving on, we got 530. Now, anyone who's in the Kanye West scene has definitely heard this outro somewhere. This snippet somewhere. It's been viral for years, been leaked for years, and it is finally out on streaming. And it's my favorite production off the entire album. I'm going to set that off straight away. And it's a focused Kanye rapping well over a verse that he's carefully curated to get a point across. And he knows he's got a generational beat on his hands. He doesn't want to ruin it. He wants to get the most out of the song. Yeah. And that's the first half of the song. And then the beat switches, and the switch is good. And the second production is good. But then he does a reference track again. He's going, should have messed with Drake. You should have messed with Drake. What are you doing? If he cares about his music, then he would take the time to actually finish the songs he puts out. But he doesn't. And doing so adds so much more damage to the song. It doesn't bring out his personality or his talent. It's just showing how lazy and careless he thinks the music he makes is. He's basically saying, fuck you to all the fans, to all the people that have been waiting for this song. I don't really have a hat in the race. But to the people that are Kanye fans, you must be going through it hearing this shit. Especially after the first one. God. Dead with Future and Lil Durk. And you got two trap titans on this song. And the first thing you do is give him a boring ass beat. Yeah. Future. Again. What are you doing? You've had such a strong 2024 and then you just whack out this boring, effortless shit. Boring, terrible verse. Like, seriously, bruv. Lil Durk, he added a lot of life into this track, a lot of positive space, a good change of pace compared to the past few tracks that I was going through. But to summarize Durk's effectiveness on the song, it is too little, too late. Dolla Sign, boring, uninteresting on the song, bad verse, and then Future did nothing as well. And then we finally get what seems to be like a hook / outro thing, and he just says the same thing over and over and over and over again with no attempt of actually adding any value or creativity to the song. It's another boring song, and for the fourth time I'm going to quote myself. Majority of the album is boring in big black capital letters. Forever Rolling, Lil Baby. The electric keyboard is creating a lot of space in the mix. That was nice. It was a nice change of pace. Some kind of different instrument being used was always cool. And Kanye had another terrible verse, boring verse. Didn't grab my attention at all. It was just mad, just blah. Just this guy has got a dartboard of words and he's just throwing at it. But the whole thing is he's missing the fucking dartboard, so it doesn't even matter. Lil Baby going back to back with Dolla Sign generally did impress me a little bit. I was not expecting that at all, and that was a cool moment on the album that I was happy with, which you don't hear me saying much in this review. Following that, we got Sky City with 070 Shake, Designer, and Sci-Hi. And I only know two of the three people that I just said. Sci-Hi, I will be checking you out, don't worry. They used a pretty impressive acoustic guitar throughout this entire track. And it sounded really cool. Nice change of pace compared to all the trap beats that we were getting over and over and over and over. And I was here for it. I was like, okay, this might be a change of the tide. They did their own interpolation of that famous song. It's like, ooh, child, things are gonna be easier, which I thought was pretty unoriginal, but Dolla Sign did sound pretty good when he was doing that, so I kind of let it slide. Designer, I really enjoyed on this song, along with 070 Shake. I thought they were a cool kind of contrast in the Dolla Sign Kanye West pipe bomb that they are. Similar to Lil Durk, it was too little, too late. Finally getting to the end of this, we've got My Soul. I've only got one sentence down for this song. I'm going to quote myself for the fifth time. Another boring track to close out. Kanye didn't sound very interesting, but Dolla Sign had to carry him again. Granted, I don't think Dolla Sign did a good enough job at carrying him in this scenario in the second Vultures tape. He did a whole lot better at carrying him in the first Vultures tape. But yeah, this album sucks. let's move on to my final thoughts. Overall, it amazes me how Kanye West can go from making genuinely interesting music to ear-aching music, which is just terrible to listen to, within the same album. He can go from peak to terrible in under an hour. I don't think you can name any other artist that can do that, genuinely. Truly a display of the duality of man. However, like I said in the intro, I drew all my comparisons to the song to the first Vultures tape, and definitively I think Vultures 2 is more focused, writing wise, sonically, production wise, and if they just left it in the mixing room for like another 2-3 weeks, it could have been very, very good. But no, Kanye had to go Kanye it. Can we turn that into a noun or a verb? Yeah, he went and ruined it. He had the blueprint, and the building was being built, but he decided to move in before they put the roof on, if that makes sense. Yeah, some great features were on here, but a lot of terrible features as well. So, I don't know, pick your poison when it comes to listening to any of the songs on there. Favorite songs, Field Trip, that's about it. That's a genuinely pretty good song. And moving on to the score, I'm feeling light to decent 4. Cheers, guys.